Hey everyone, I'm Adam, and today we got Craig from Candyland Inflatables on, and he owns a bounce house company, and we're just going to learn all about his company in particular. How you doing, Craig?
Good. How you?
Great. All right, so first things first, how'd you get into this?
Um. Well, some years ago, my partner he has like five daughters, and he was renting bounce houses for the kids throughout the year, and he just decided it would probably be cheaper if he just bought a couple bounce houses instead of renting five a year every year if he knew he was going to do it for so long. Then after he had them, he was using them like with his family. So like family members would just take them. He wasn't like renting them or anything. He was just doing favors for people, giving them to them. And after a while, I guess he had a collection of them. And I came across one day, and he was like, "Oh, you want to help me with this?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" And so we took it from his little shed. He had him like in a little rickety shed in the backyard, and then we built it up to where we built an office where uh we have a little bit of warehouse space. We have our office. It's like three nice sized rooms that we utilize. One more for business. That's the room that we're in now, and then there's the room for storage of the bounce house units, and then there's the other room that we're starting to expand, um, actually into your expertise, like tents, tables, chairs,
Right.
and like concessions, things like that.
That's cool. Yeah, so a lot of people I talked to kind of started that way. Either they or someone they knew had bounce houses for their kids instead of like renting them all the time. All right, so what were the
Which
like
which I don't suggest anybody in my neighborhood does, but if you
right,
if you just
exactly.
you rent them from us, you don't have to go buy your own.
Right. So what did you guys start off with?
He had the basic units, the Disney Princess, something for the boys, something for the girls, and it was just the simple 15 by 15s we started with, and then expanded into like water slides and obstacle courses and things of that nature.
Right. Where are you guys located?
We're located in Rhode Island. We
Okay.
service Johnston, Providence, Warwick, Cranston, basically anywhere in Rhode Island. We'll even go to some parts of Massachusetts and Connecticut if they're willing to pay the delivery fee.
Right. So you have a season basically, unlike someone like in
We
Florida.
Yeah, we have a short season where you have to get to it. It gets busy, and then it just dies,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then it comes back to life the following year. I'd say about starts like around April. It comes back to life like the end of April, May, and then it rolls up until about October,
r-
November, and then it just hibernates.
Yeah, I understand that. So being
And
oh go ahead.
and that's why we wanted to expand into other things like tables, tents, chairs, because people need chairs on the holidays all year round. They have indoor events where they don't have enough seating, they don't have enough tables, and so that's why we want to expand to that, so that way our off season wasn't as off. It almost
Right.
felt like vacation through the
Right. Plus you'll be able to, I'm assuming you'll be able to use the tables and chairs for, you go drop off a inflatable, a few tables
Yes,
and 20 chairs.
people want it too, along with the cotton candy machines, the popcorn machines, snow cone machines. People just up sales, just
Right.
add-ons, as you might call
So you're like me, you're seasonally with different businesses, but a bounce house company who's in the Northeast, like what are your most popular items?
them. Our most popular items in the thick of the summer is the water slides,
Okay.
and then I would say second is we have this glitter unit. It used to be the Disney Princess, but the Disney Princess has been outtaken by the glitter unit for some reason. It's been taken out all the time. And then also the plane units that go with like any theme. So like the plane modules, whether it's the one with the basketball hoops and the slide, or just the regular one, or the 3-in-1, the 4-in-1, or the plain one. But the ones that go with any theme, people just kind of want, if it's not going to match their party theme exactly, they want the plain one.
Right. So I'm expanding into bounce houses probably next year, and you're similar climate to me. Like you just said, in the thick of summer, it's slides. But like, what should I be looking at for? the early summer and late fall?
If I were you, um I would get a plain unit for sure, like a 15 by 15, and then a 3-in-1. And but I definitely get a water slide, either 18 by 20 or even bigger. It doesn't, because people want them for all different sizes and then different ages for the kids. Some might be a party for a 3-year-old. They don't want the big giant double wave slide because the kid
Right.
can't go down it. They just want the little dinky one. And then you might have, we're in a college city, we have like Brown University. So like the college kids definitely don't want the small one. They want the big one that actually feels like a real
Right.
slide. So it's really just a matter of like what you're near, what's in your market. But I would go with plain units for sure, because you can't go wrong with it. People will go if you don't have the theme they want. Like if they call for minions and you don't have minions, but you say, hey, look, I got a regular plain yellow, red, and blue one that goes with anything, they'll most likely take that one.
Right. I've been talking to a lot of people like about themed ones or like these really like crazy obstacle courses that not everyone's getting all the time. And they've been saying like, yeah, don't go themed so much, kind of like what you're saying, especially in the beginning, or don't go crazy with like there's a unit where you throw balls at each other or jousting. Uh, is that
Although
how
the
can
jousting we want to do, that's we want to get the mats and the, because it's a good, once you've had enough units, we definitely want that. But we're also worried, like, I don't know how it's going to work with the insurance when it's like, all right, we got like combat sports going on inside our units now. I don't know
right, right. You
if
said a
have to
key thing.
test.
Once you have enough units, right? So like it's not something you get like right away.
No, no, that's not something we bought right away. We bought our units. You just want to make sure you get good blowers. You don't want to get like they sometimes they try to pawn off like the cheesy cheap blowers that warp with the heat and then they don't blow up the unit properly, and now you're stuck with a more junky unit. I like the Bear units. They either the green ones or the black and orange tip ones, but I try to stay away from the blue and yellow blowers because
Okay.
those tend to fry out on us a lot.
Okay, cool. What's your guys's like delivery? Trucks, trailers, box trucks?
All the above. We have a box truck um, with a hydraulic lift that's came in like handy. When we first started, we were just throwing everything on the back of his pickup truck,
Right.
and it doesn't sound like it's that bad, but when you've got a 800-pound wet water slide that you're trying to throw up two men and up to the back of a truck, it's not always that easy. So once we got the box truck, things got a lot easier. We could do a lot more. We could pack up the night before. There was just there were a lot of benefits to having the truck. When we were doing strictly pickup truck, we had an issue one time because we had it loaded for the night before and prepped, and it was, so we don't know if it was kids, we don't really know who it was, we only caught a glimpse out the camera because the way the car was parked, but someone jumped out and like sliced the bounce houses and then took off.
Oh, that
And
sucks.
so yeah, so it's not always the pickup truck is good if you're just starting and you have to get where you got to go and you can't afford a box truck, but I would definitely go to get a box truck. And then also the other benefit of a box truck is it is also advertising for you. So
Right.
it's like you're a driving billboard at this point. So as you're driving around, people see, and a lot of people just take the number down and call just because I see the truck. Like we did our truck big pink and cotton candy looking truck, like the truck drove through some cotton candy. So it's just like, it just stands out. It's like a big pink truck with our logo is huge on the side of it. And it's a driving billboard on all four sides, basically.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you get phone calls just from the truck.
Yeah. You got to make sure you drive correctly too. Otherwise you're going to get other phone calls that you don't want to get.
Yeah, I know all about that. So that kind of leads into marketing. Like, how do you guys market to get the name out there, get people in?
Well, I have a degree in digital media production.
Okay.
So I've jumped on the Facebook wave and the Instagram wave a while ago, and not really even knowing what I was doing at the time when I started and have a degree. I just had started building the pages because I knew that social media was a good way to advertise for us, especially here in our small state. So
Right.
because everybody's kind of local and like knows each other. Not everybody knows each other, but it's like it's a small circle. Everybody knows what other companies or who's doing what out here. But yeah, so I'll create content. Sometimes if the unit goes to somewhere cool, I'll take photos of it right there where it's at. Or even so, like I'll create videos. Like I made a few videos. What I'm trying to do now is make a video for each unit. Just about, like, I have a video for the water slide and I have a video for our 4-in-1 and cotton candy machine. But I would like to make a video, for the Mickey Mouse unit, just for every unit, so it all has this unique feel to it. Like,
Right.
give each unit its own like personality, kind of. So that's what I want to do, and then just sponsor the ads or sponsor the video, where it's kind of more selling the experience. So we're not out there saying, hey, rent this bounce house and blah, 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 it costs this much. I'm just showing the experience, the kids playing, the sounds, the feel of the day, where I'm not actually, I'm not really selling you anything. I'm just showing you the experience and then giving people that feel to call. And that's basically been our market. And then we do stuff like, I don't know if you can, we'll put up signs, business cards, stickers, signs, paper signs, plastic signs.
Do you pay for any Google stuff?
We attempted one time to work with this company. I'm not sure how much they helped us, to be honest with you. I don't know if they were a scam company or if it was like a legitimate company, because you speak to some people and they're like, I'll get you in the top 3 in your city, and then other people's like, it's impossible to promise you that. And so I'm not sure, but it wasn't really that cheap either. I don't think that was particularly worth it, but I don't see anything wrong with Google AdWords or anything like that. But we just haven't done it. We've been pretty successful via social media and word of mouth, and our truck and our signs, and just
right. Yeah, no, not everything is for everyone. Like in my business, I basically just rely on Google AdWords, but I set it up all myself. If I had to pay someone a lot of money to do that, I don't think I'd want to do it. I don't particularly like Instagram, so that's not for me. That's why I like to ask people, what they do, because
it works. And another thing I feel like with the videos is I'll be able to branch now into YouTube, because you can't really just put photos on YouTube. But when you have good, engaging videos, I can start to put them on YouTube. I started consuming your content, I say about a year ago, when I decided I wanted to learn more about tents and shit. And then I saw you had like hundreds of videos. So I just went down the rabbit hole and watched everything from how to put together a marquee frame tent, like things I had no clue about. I didn't know anything at all about tents, honestly.
I may have put too many videos out.
No, I need a few more. There's still some things I don't feel I know yet, but so we bought our first tent not too long ago. It's a pole tent, just because there was a good deal. It was an Anchor tent, and I heard that Anchor was a good brand, and it was a good deal on it. So I was like, all right. So we grabbed the Anchor tent and a bunch of chairs, and now we're and a bunch of tables, and so we've been starting to advertise for that.
So now you can show up to a job with the inflatable, whatever it is, and at the same time do the tent, tables, and chairs.
The whole entire party almost. Once we once I grab a dance floor, I already have a DJ. So because I've been doing the music for so long, but once I grab like a dance floor, and yeah, we can show up with a lot for the party now.
Right.
Where it's like tents, tables, chairs, popcorn machine, and a bounce house, and then it's a nice stop for the day.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. So you just mentioned most of the things you rent out, and then you drop the DJ. You guys do music as well?
Yes. Well, I actually originally do music. That's what I've always done since I was a kid. Like writing, recording. I record other people. I record myself. So that's I kind of leveraged that popularity I had and used that to help build the business as well. That's why social media was pretty easy for me because I already had a little following, and a lot of people, some people just wanted to say, "Oh, I got a bounce house from him. I know him from the neighborhood,"
Right.
And so it worked. But yeah, the DJs, we have a couple of them. So when people actually need a DJ, we'll just sub it to them, and that's it.
Do you make money on it? Like, do you charge more than what he's charging you, or is it just more inclusive service?
Well, one of the DJs, it just depends on what he feels like charging. The other guy, we have a system worked out with where we'll get a percentage, and that's it. As long as we gave him the referral.
That's cool. I like that. You're hooking them up with a guaranteed job. You're making a little bit. You're being
a job that he would otherwise not had.
Yeah, and for the customer, you're providing kind of like a one-stop kind of place.
Exactly, and that's the goal, to get it to where it's we put up big tents, bounce house next. Just the whole party. We show up with the whole party. We just fill up the truck and come. Right now. I saw what you were doing. You were renting your box trucks. So actually, they look more like 18-wheelers, but they were pretty big. The trucks that you were like renting trucks at the beginning of the year and then using them throughout the season and then just giving them back at the end. Did you ever end up purchasing one?
So yeah, I own a 16-foot box truck, but during the middle of the summer, I need much larger trucks than that. I only need them during the summer. So I rent 26-foot box trucks for the summer. Those two go back. I got my other box truck because in the winter off seasons, you don't need that big of a box truck. That's what a lot of like big tent companies.
But you also have a lot of. They just rent the fleets instead of buying them. Like they own one or two trucks themselves and then rent the rest for the summer.
Yeah,
storing a box truck isn't the easiest thing either. Like having a place to park a box truck isn't always the easiest thing.
No, not unless you have like your own dedicated warehouse and stuff. Like
in here at the warehouse we do, but even sometimes like we don't own the building. So the landlord will say, "Oh, it's snowing. You got to move the truck and put it somewhere." And it's like, well, this is where it lives. You know what I mean? So now we have to find another place to put it for a little bit. So So this bonus, positive, negatives. I would say if you couldn't afford a box truck, but you can afford an enclosed trailer that you can hook up to your pickup truck, and you're not afraid of jackknifing it. I would go with an enclosed trailer too, because you can still load the night before, and it's easier to find places to put it. Than a huge box truck.
And where you and me are, there's weather, there's rain. So like
there's rain, snow. Yeah.
Yes. So you don't want to be loading up your bounce houses the night before in an open trailer. Not even if someone's going to come slash it, because it could get rained on that night before you go deliver.
Yeah, and then you have some soggy wet balloons from the night before, or even the dew from the night before. Like sometimes, people want the unit overnight, and it's not like a tent where a tent is up and off the ground. The bounce house is on the ground, so if it's on the grass, even if it didn't rain, that morning dew got all over it, and you're still rolling up a wet balloon the next morning. So the units will still get wet with the morning dew and stuff like that. So you have to just be diligent and make sure you clean them faster because, a tent, I assume some tents stay for weeks, months at a time.
Yeah, but if we take it down wet, even just from the dew, like you're talking about, and put it away just with dew on it, you got to get that out of its bag within days. You can't sit around on it.
Yeah, we have a schedule with our cleaning because most of our units go out for bounce houses. Usually, it's like a weekend thing: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Unless it's like a special event, it's not really too much during the week. But Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you don't have a day. You don't own weekends anymore.
Right.
It's gone. So all your friends are going to the beach. You're dropping off bounce houses. All your friends, you know what I mean. Everybody's working from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it just takes up a lot of weekend time.
Yeah, but my thought on that is, yeah, everyone's going to the beach right now, but when you are ready to retire, you're going to, Australia, and they're going to the beach again.
But back to what I was saying with we'll go out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the cleaning we try to get done, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Right. So that way they're dried and cleaned by the weekends, and anything that went out got taken care of, and so if it has to go back out, the only thing that is an issue sometimes is a unit's going out Friday to one place, Saturday another place, Sunday another place. Right. So, and then you go there to pick up the unit, and it's 8:30 at night, and they're like, "Oh, I want another hour, 2 hours," but you got to get it back because it has to get wiped down, clean, and ready for the party the next day. And not everybody wants to work. I don't know, like not everybody wants to come and actually clean. We got blessed at the end of this season. We found a couple good guys that were actually reliable and on time and worked hard. But then, we had other times where, guys aren't cleaning it the way, definitely not the way my partner wants it clean.
Right. It's hard. It's hard. And other people don't have as much value in it as you guys do.
Well, it's not their company. So they're not going to look at it like, oh, a little spot there is annoying. No, they're like, I hope nobody sees it. They try to like get around it. They're not like, oh, it's got to go out. They're like, oh, cigarette break time. Walk to the corner.
Right. How do you guys keep track of everything and keep track of orders and inventory?
Well, we don't have a ton of units. We have about 20. We have about 20 units, and so what we do is it's fairly easy for myself to keep track because what I do is it's pretty archaic actually, but I have a planner, and in that planner I have it written down. The rest I keep in my head, but everything gets written out, and I'll send as they come in, I'll send the message to my partner. So now he has it, I have it. We both know what's going out for the weekend. And then as the day gets closer, we just communicate a little bit more. And so by the morning of, we know exactly what has to go out. And
okay, cool. So how do you send an invoice to like the customer though, if it's all in a planner?
We have a system where we've been doing more of like an honor system with our people. They can send a deposit. We only require like a $25 deposit. We don't want 25%. You send us $25. That's your deposit. If you cancel for any reason other than rain, we're gonna keep it. But what happens is when we get there, we'll give them. That's when everything will get signed when we get there. So we'll have them sign actual waiver and delivery sheet,
and then pay you,
and then pay in full morning of delivery.
Right.
And we haven't really come across anybody that didn't want to pay. And honestly, we work with people like if we show up and they're like, oh, my husband's not here yet, and we have some other deliveries to do, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. If they burn us for $25, $50, we just won't rent to them anymore, and they've got to go to another company.
Right. Last question here. Anything that you've learned along the way, whether watching someone else or making mistakes yourself, that other people can learn from, not do the same thing?
careful who you're hiring. I would say. I would say
Mm,
the people that work for your company are your company. Whether you look at them as an employee or however you look at them, the outside world looks at them as that is you, that is your company. So just make sure you're going to hire people, and hiring is guessing, firing is knowing. So try not to hire people you're going to be scared to fire. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like stay away from stay away from friends and family unless they're like really friends and family. Like not
right.
just like, hey buddy, I need a job, you know, and then they come work for a weekend or two, and they don't respect your business the way that you respect it. You don't have to you don't have to run it the way I run it, but respect it the way I respect it.
Right.
Show up respectable, and just do your job. If you know, and don't act like you're doing us a favor because you showed up to work when we're paying you. You know,
Right.
and that's
Yeah,
that's just
yeah, I got one kid who works occasionally. He was throwing my stuff around. I had to sit down with him once and be like, "Yo, this is not some corporation. This is not some invisible person you don't know.
yeah. If
It's
this breaks, who do you think's paying for it?
yeah,
It's not
this
a tax write off. Like,
right, right. You know me. We hang out. Like this is my stuff. Like
yeah,
I
don't
paid
don't
for it.
don't, don't take the blower and just huck it to the corner. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when you first started with your tent company, what were the tents that you would suggest I should buy? I know I grabbed a pole tent, but I feel like I want to go in the direction of frame tents.
Yeah,
And
I'd have to do some more research into your area. I'm more rural and suburban, so people got yards, and if there's anything on the ground, it's just a septic tank. It's not like city water and city electric. So pole tents was fast and easy and cheaper to get into in the beginning. But if you're doing places where there's a lot of underground stuff or you know suburban to urban kind of areas, frame tents. Plus, frame tents are more versatile because you can go over someone's driveway easy. You can put it in their backyard on grass just as easy. You can be in a parking lot. Um, I have to look at your area, but frame tents overall are more versatile. And once you get them down, I mean, you can set up a 20 by 20 frame tent usually faster than you can set up a 20 by 20 pole tent. Um, that's not going to be your first time out, but you'll get there.
yeah, yeah, because I need a few more. We need a few more tents. We're like constantly searching. And do you see a big difference between the Chinese the chairs from China, the white padded chairs from China, or the ones that are like twice as much from over here? Other than the tint is a little off, like the
Yeah,
color, the tints, but we don't have any. So I'm thinking if there's not a bright chair to sit next to it, it's not going to look like it's a tad bit.
yeah, that's the thing. So I did buy the ones from China once. There was some resort who needed them for 2 years. I bought them at the end of the 2 years. They came back into my stuff with the U.S. made ones, and yeah, next to each other, the Chinese one looks gray. Away from it, it looks white. But the Chinese ones are also a lot harder to clean. Uh, you know, you think that they're kind of smooth, but there's like a fine grit to them, and they get dirty and they have to be cleaned nonstop. The ones that are more expensive from Pennsylvania, Palmer
Yeah.
Snyder, they're super smooth. You can clean them with a magic eraser real quick.
Does Palmer Schneider sponsor you? Because they should.
They don't.
I've heard their name come out of your mouth quite a few times. But I
So
think Palmer Schneider owes you some tables and chairs.
they sent me some things.
Did they?
Not,
Yeah.
not much, but they sent me a few cocktail tables and 9 pieces of dance floor.
Yeah, I'm hoping any of you companies that want to send me some stuff, I will happily
Right.
use it. Also,
No.
not to keep cutting you short, foam machines. Have you got into that at all or done any research on them?
It's not personally something I want to do because a foam machine is kind of more like a on person on site kind of thing. Someone running the party, keeping everyone entertained for the 2 hours, and I'm more like drop and go. you know.
Yeah.
But I've been talking to a lot of people, and a lot of people have gotten the foam machines, and they're like, man, it's crazy. They had to build the market because most people think foam parties, you know, like a bar, wet t-shirt, kind of
Yeah,
like
there's
more
not really the
adult.
market for you have to build
Yeah.
the market out
So,
here.
so
But once you
they
build the market, then you are the market,
yep.
and it can be. I feel like it could be a lucrative thing.
Yeah, they're making
And
a lot of money, but once they built the market, it wasn't just get off and go. It was a lot of videos that they would use from the manufacturer, from their own parties. And then once they did, they say they make a lot of money.
yeah, because I was figuring with the DJ, if figure out somehow the DJ plays the music, runs the phone machine, those two might coincide hand in hand, where I wouldn't have to stand there at the party for
Yeah,
2 3 hours
that
and
would work.
hold a phone machine. You
Yeah,
know,
that would work.
but
That would be cool.
and like I said, also this is a college town, so I may or may not be able to find a couple college kids that are here and want to make some extra money throughout the summer, and they don't care
Right.
standing at a kid's party for a few hours because if there is no market, there is no price set. I was going to ask if you knew if any of the machines were better than the others, but if you don't have any,
Well, I've been talking to a lot of people. Foam Daddy shoots a lot of foam kind of far, makes it get like big fluffy foam. There's other
yeah,
ones that are on the ground that are kind of like just like fill up the yard with foam. I think the shooting the one, you know, shooting it is better. One big tip someone told me is, you know, maybe 45 minutes into the party, you know, it's all the kids playing. They go over and say, hey, the kids find it so fun if the adults get in there too and just mess around just for a few minutes. So then the adults are kind of like, okay. And they do. And then they're like, oh, this is fun. Then they stay in there with the kids. Now the adults are having fun. The kids are having fun. And then they get a whole bunch of phone calls from the adults' family and friends and stuff. So they're making a lot of money, you know, through word of mouth because they got those adults to go in and have fun as well.
I was also looking at like not water slides but slip and slides, and I was thinking that the slip and slide and the foam machine may go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think
You know,
so.
and I think that those two things could be a big hit, especially for like for parties. I think foam machines are. It, I don't know anybody out here that's renting them, so I'm definitely getting into that as well
Right.
because I feel like that's like another aspect of the party that's kind of being neglected out here.
Yeah, definitely. As long as you can build the market, and it will take a while, but yeah, you could own it.
Yeah.
Back to
All right, go on.
back to tables and chairs real quick. Like I know I have the most expensive tables and chairs, but my thing is a little different. Like I have to have those because number one, I want my tables to last 30 years. Number two, I got so many chairs going out that I don't want to have to worry about them. Uh, I believe bounce house companies are totally okay starting with like plastic tables that are just easy to clean,
And
light.
easy to carry.
Yeah.
They got the little handles. It's real convenient.
Right. Starting off with the Chinese white padded chairs, yeah, it's gonna be cheaper. If you start seeing like, whoa, we're starting to book a lot of weddings, I would go into the more expensive chairs. Um, the regular chairs, they just call them polyfold. You know, they have a plastic seat, plastic back, metal frame, and they stack together like
That's
50
what we
high.
have right now. We have the black ones right now.
There's no real difference between, you know, Palmer Snyder or a Chinese one in those. The only difference in Palmer Snyder is their white padded chairs are just going to last
The
longer.
resin chairs.
Yeah, resin. And if you do get into wood tables, you don't want a Chinese one because they're just a veneer on it. That once the veneer comes off, you're just done.
Yeah,
Palmer Snyder.
we learned our lesson with some round tables. Just the transporting of them. At first, it's like, oh, it's just so easy. We just roll them, and
Right.
then after a season, you look and they're cracked all around the edges. You're like, oh man, like why does this look like this?
Right.
We weren't slamming them or anything, but just from the rolling of them and moving them around, they're not as sturdy, the plastic ones. But the plastic folding tables, I feel like will get a lot more wear and time out of them than the plastic round tables.
Yeah. But
And-
if you're mentioning doing big weddings and stuff in the future, I would definitely move towards wooden into the future because a wedding, I mean, they're not going to see it because it's under a
The linen.
tablecloth, but they still see it when you deliver it, and they're just like, corporate people don't want a plastic table either, you know.
Yeah, corporate and bigger weddings, they want to feel like a sturdy table that don't feel like it's gonna knock over and
Yeah,
the kids bumping into it because they're light. The tables are light, so a little hit would shake the table a lot more than a wooden table that's like
right.
heavy and firm down. Dollies. If if you had to choose, like, do you buy specific dollies for your chairs and tables, or do you like repurpose the normal dolly?
Like a hand cart.
Yeah.
No, there are hand carts or dollies. We usually call them dollies too. That are specifically made for chairs that stack on a specific thing. But I don't like that. I like having all our chairs on a mover's dolly, which is, one of those carpeted four-wheel things.
Yeah,
So
that they usually put like generators on or stuff to roll. That's what we put our generators on. Like,
Yeah. So then we can roll 50 chairs through the warehouse or, through a building or, on a parking lot easy. But when it comes time to the grass, I want to be able to use the same hand cart that I'm using everything for. So it's just got, a part that flips up, and then there's this little lip that can go underneath the chair dollies, and then pull it back. And then when you want to do a tent, you just pop that down, put the tent on. First of all, they take up a lot of room. Second of all, they're expensive. So I'd rather have just one that does everything.
Yeah. So you kind of like repurpose it. Yeah, no, because I was like, well, they got the dollies specifically made for chairs, which looks cool. You're like, oh, all right, this is just specifically for these chairs. Take them and go. But then what? Then I got to move a bounce house, and I have to go find a whole nother dolly. And
yeah, and also the problem with the cart that's just for the chairs is only one person's dealing with chairs. Like, if I got my all-purpose cart with all my chairs on wheels, once it comes off the lift gate, the hydraulic lift, someone can take that in the backyard, and the other people can be unloading those chairs, getting them ready for them. If they had to wait for that cart, then that dude's got to go all the way in the backyard, come back with the cart, move the chairs,
Another thing, back to your question about what I would advise for people. I would also advise to pay attention to licensing. Don't buy knockoff Spider-Mans that don't have the licensing, or knockoff Mickey Mouses that don't have the licensing, because believe it or not, they check your pages and they send out Disney will check your page and send out, say, you're not authorized to sell this, or this is not proper, and you can actually get sued for that, just thinking you're buying someone else's unit. I believe it's never happened to us, but I believe that Ninja Jump had their licensing, lost it, and now Magic Jump has the licensing for what Ninja Jump lost. Right. So just stay on top of things like that, and also your insurance. Make sure your insurance is covering everything. Don't skimp out on the insurance to try to save $15-$20 a month. Like,
no, it'll come back later at you.
But yeah, and also the insurance checks your page. Like, oh, you didn't tell us you had tents. Like, right. So just tell them what you have, because they're gonna stalk your advertising, and they're gonna want to put it into the coverage.
Right.
And also, that's another. Speaking of insurance, do you know any other companies? I mean, I believe we use Casio or Casio. I'm not sure if that's the proper way of saying it, right. But I believe, and that's like the only insurance company I've really found out there for bounce houses.
So I don't go try to find any insurance, because like, it's so hard to type. You can type in car insurance, find that easy, but these kind of insurances, you can't. What I go do is I go find an agent.
So you go through just an agent that might have a connect and then bundle everything together?
Yep. So like, my agents changed me a few times here and there. Like, when I first went with them, they got my liability from one company, they got my auto from another, they got workers' comp from another. And through that time, when prices have changed and stuff, they're like, well, we can get you cheaper over here. They know everywhere. you might not find your first agent that knows the inflatable party rental business. You might have to go make a few phone calls, but eventually you'll find an agent that is like, oh yeah, I know what you need. And then you're out of the equation. You don't have to try to find stuff.
Does your guy only do New York, or does he do?
I don't know. They're called the Alliance Group, and they're in Rochester. So you can give them
Alliance Group.
Yeah, Alliance Group in Rochester. I've actually never met them. My friend has a party company in Rochester. So I hooked up, and they're like, oh yeah, we know what we're doing. And I talk to them on the phone, but never meet them in person.
All right.
So yeah, I always suggest just finding an agent. Agent can get you exactly what you need at the best prices too. Because
that's the insurance is, and then depending on what time of the season you buy the insurance, but it's like you're off for a bunch of months and you're still paying insurance on months that you're not even really using the units anymore. And what do? You cancel your insurance and then reopen it. It's like it gets to be a pain. So
the good ones will just base it off of your sales instead of like a yearly kind of thing, and then they can find you someone that does that. But yeah, that's my suggestion.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Cool. That. But yeah, check with them, the Alliance Group in Rochester. I got one last question. Is Rhode Island one of the states where you have to inspect every unit?
No.
Okay.
No, Massachusetts is. I bought a couple units from a guy in Mass. He's like, oh, they're all inspected. I was like, all right, that's nice. I want to look at it on my own. He's like, no, I mean they're inspected. I had no clue what it was, and then he showed me in the back. It was like a little registration receipt that had been literally inspected. I was like, oh, you got to register every unit like a car in some states. But no, not Rhode Island. You just have to make sure you follow all the safety procedures, stay certain amounts, stay away from water, power lines, make sure that you're not over any gas lines and everything is staked in and people are paying attention to the weight limits, and you explain thoroughly to whoever's renting the unit what is expected and what the rules are, and then make sure you have them sign the agreement.
That's interesting. I wonder if buying a used unit from a state which requires inspection on everything is probably like better peace of mind. Like I know this unit's good. Like it went to pass inspection last year.
But also when you're in and out of these bounce houses, you can tell. Like I'll blow it up and I'll be like, oh, there's a little tear on the netting over here, or like I'll inspect it because it's ours. So we're looking at it all day too. Like, what's this extra stain? The stain wasn't here last week. Everything that's on it when it's yours and you care about it.
Right.
I guess if we moved up to a couple hundred units, it would be a little bit different. But when you have a certain amount, 20, 40, and it's not an unbearable amount of units, you kind of know what's on its way out already anyway.
Right.
You only get so many years. But if you buy from a reputable company, Ninja Jump makes good units. They just lost their licensing. They made quality bounce houses, but now they don't have their licensing. So we're gonna probably switch over to like Magic Jump and try a couple other companies just to see how they are. There's a company, Bouncing Angels, out of California, I believe that's their name, and they make some units that just look amazing. They're coming out with new 3D stuff that pops out the front and just looks really interesting and like stuff that's like, if I was a kid, I'd want to play in that one, So I want to. We're gonna start branching off into other things since Ninja Jump lost their license. My partner was like a diehard Ninja Jump. Like we don't buy from anyone else, and that's all we did. So all our units to this point are our licensed Ninja Jump units.
But that you're grandfathered in with those though, right? It's not like all of a sudden you can't.
Now, because when we purchased it, the licensing was there, so it's not like we can't use our Disney one anymore because they don't have that license anymore. But if we bought a 2022 unit and they had it on it, then we'd be.
Now, what if you bought a used Ninja Jump? Is it just fine?
I believe it's still the same. I believe as long as it's if they made it while they still had their licensing, then it's still good.
Okay.
So if if you bought a Hasbro toy that had the licensing at one point and it doesn't have it anymore, it's still that company's toy.
Right. Cool. All right, man. Craig, I appreciate
Hey.
you being on.
I appreciate you having me on.
Maybe next year I can get on and follow up with how you're doing.
Yeah, nah, we can check in all the time. I'll come on your show and talk shit regularly.
All right, son. Awesome. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
All right, bye. Talk to you soon.